Welcome to part 2 of how to create an ebook or EPUB file. In today's tutorial, we're going to add some CSS to our ebook pages just to make it look a little less bland. So picking up from where we left off last time, here is the EPUB file that we created. So as you can see, there's very minimal styling on each of these pages. And what we're going to do today is add some styling so that our page looks like this. So we're going to add a subtitle and change its color. We're going to add this little swirly image here. We're going to add a drop cap. We are also going to add some bullets. We're going to add a superscript for a footnote, and we're going to bold some text. And the last thing, we're going to add the footnote at the bottom here. Oh, as well, we're going to add this thin gray border. So open up your EPUB file in Seagull. We'll just minimize the Adobe Digital Editions for now. Okay, so quick run through. We have our cover page, our title page, the copyrights, our first chapter, second chapter, third chapter, and acknowledgements. So what we need to do first is pick a page, and I'm just going to apply all of the styles to the first page in our book. So we're going to make an external style sheet, and for those of you who know HTML and CSS already, this will be actually extremely easy for you because it's just the same thing as creating a web page. But for those of you who don't have any experience with HTML or CSS, it's fairly easy to follow along with as well. So in the styles folder, we're going to create a new external style sheet. You're going to right click, add add blank style sheet. We're going to right click on the new file and rename it. You can call it whatever you want. Just make it something easy. I'm going to call it ebook.css and just click off to submit that. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is link up our external style sheet to the page that we want to style. So going back to our first page, I'm actually going to use the split code view. And in the head of the document here, just above the title tag, we're going to use the link tag. So link relative equals style sheet href. Now the href is the position of our file, so we're going to type the path to the exact position of the file. So /styles/ebook.css. Now the reason why there is the two dots and the / here is because of where the page that we're styling is located. It's actually in a lower level in this folder. Whoops. Okay, so it's actually in a lower level in this folder, and we use the two dots and the / to get up out of that folder and then go into the styles folder. So there's that part, and then type equals text /CSS. And don't forget to close the tag. Now, we can go back to our ebook.css file and start messing around with this. So going back to our example, there is a bit of a margin on the sides here. So we're going to add that using the body tag. So we're going to type in body, curly brace, close the curly brace. We're going to type in margin, margin left is 10% and margin right is 10%. Now you're going to notice that I'm going to be using percentages instead of fixed units, and the reason for that is because on any given device, the reader has the option to change the font size or the font style. So this gives your ebooks a lot more flexibility than others would. Okay, so let's go back to our page. So now you'll notice that there's a 10% margin on each side. Okay, and the next thing I want to do is add a gray border. So we'll go back to our style sheet. And in order to do this, we're going to have to use a div. And try to think of a div as a container, as it's holding all of our content, and we can style this container. So we're going to type div dot border, curly brace, close the curly brace. I'm going to type the border attributes. I want it 2 pixels wide, solid, and a nice light gray color. Now we need to go back to our page to apply that div. So I'm going to open up the code view again. So just after the body tag, we're going to open up an angle bracket, type in div class equals border, close it, and then we're going to scroll down to just before the body tag and close our div tag. And if we click on the page here, there's our border. Now you can see that the border here is pretty close to the content, and I really don't like that, so we're going to add some padding to our div. So going back to the ebook style sheet, we're going to enter a new line here and type padding is 20 pixels. Now for this div, I'm actually going to use a fixed width because I don't need that space to change whatsoever. So going back to the page, you'll notice that there's a little bit of space in between the edges and the text. Alright, so the next thing I want to do is center this text here. So I could do this one of 2 ways. I could either highlight this text and use this button, or we could style it. Doing it the easy way, we can just use the button and save us some time. So the next thing I want to do is add a subtitle. So we can go ahead, click just underneath there and type in our subtitle. I'm just going to call it the beginning. I want this centered as well. There you go. Also, I want this a different color just so that it stands out a little bit more from the chapter title. So going into our code, let's find this. I'm actually going to change the class name and call it gray. There's an extra space here, so we'll just take that out. Alright. Our subtitle has actually moved back to the left. What happened was when we changed the class name, when we changed the class name, it took out the original formatting, so we're actually going to have to style this in the CSS anyways. So going back to our external style sheet, we're going to define our class. So we just type dot gray, curly bracket. We're going to choose our color. let's do this color. So there you can see it's a little bit of a lighter gray. And the reason why I'm using only grays is because not all of the devices are going to be able to see color, so you might want to think about that when you're choosing to include any kind of color in your ebook. Right, so we also need to center this. So going back to our page, enter a new line. We're going to type in text, align, colon, center, semicolon. Okay, let's go back to our page, and now it's centered. So in the preview, you've seen a little swirly image. I want to add that next. So I'm going to enter a new line, and I'm actually going to the images folders here, right click, add existing files, and you're just going to search through until you find the picture that you want. There it is. Open. Okay, so I'm going to do this the easy way. Just click where you want the image to go and click on the image icon. Select your image that you uploaded and hit OK. And there's our image.